Hello and welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan MS Pearce, Ukraine War breaking news update for the 22nd of April 2025. And it's been a long time since I've announced a breaking news update with good news like this. This news pertains to a sizable ammunition depot going big bang. Not quite sure whether it's a strike from the Ukrainians. I probably think it is. There are some claims that it was unloading some munitions. They exploded. I don't know. I don't think that's particularly likely. But here we have news that the 51st GRAU arsenal in Kirzhach, around 530 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, but pretty close to Moscow. As you can see, there's Moscow Oblast there, just northeast of Moscow. 500 odd kilometers away from Ukraine is well within the range of most of their munitions that they are talking about these days, whether they be kind of long Neptune or similar, or drone missiles or drones themselves. This is what it looks like, I guess, in peacetime. The effective 51st arsenal of the GRAU near Kirzhach in Vladimir Oblast. Explosions are ongoing and are not stopping, according to locals. And we can see confirmation of that with an awful lot of footage that is now coming out. I'm not going to play the sound on these because YouTube doesn't like them. You can go and check these out on the socials. They're all out there. Big explosions now happening at the 51st GRAU. A significant blow to this Russian arsenal. The roads in the area of the arsenal have been blocked and evacuations are underway from the nearest settlements, says Null reports. Then we have here some pretty sizable explosions taking place. That's a big old fireball there going up. And these look like secondary explosions. Obviously, there's already smoke in the air there from something going on. Russian Telegram channels report explosions, huge fire, detonations in Kirzhach district, Vladimir region, at or around the missile artillery arsenal of the Russian Defense Ministry. The road from Moscow has been closed off. A village nearby is being evacuated. The area of the arsenal is 502 hectares. And good news for the Ukrainians. This would certainly have an effect on the Russian ability to carry out strikes. It depends what's in there. Strikes, artillery attacks, or whatever it is for some time. We've seen that previously. Another moment here of the explosion. I mean, look at that. That is a really sizable explosion going off there. Another moment, the explosion of the 51st GRAU. Reported that the explosions occurred during the unloading of artillery shells, but this needs confirmation, of course. I would imagine, it seems rather implausible that they would be having exploding arsenals during a war that was just done by accident, when we haven't seen accidents like this in peacetime previously. So I would put a fairly decent wager on the Ukrainians having something to do with this, that's for sure. So yeah, Russians watch explosions at the Russian ammunition depot near Moscow. This has the person commenting in the video and being pretty amazed. But we go back to Special Kherson Cat's initial thread here. Okay, just now, Russian ammunition depot 65 kilometers from Moscow was targeted. Secondary detonations are ongoing. 51st Arsenal, the main missile and artillery directorate of the Russian Ministry of Defense, Military Unit 11785. Arsenal is intended for supposed to be storing artillery shells, multiple launch rocket system, I presume ammunition, air defense missile system components, for example, the S-300, tactical missiles. And as mentioned, that's what it looks like, and that's where it is. Secondary detonations of the Russian ammunition depot near Moscow after the attack. And then additional footage of the explosions on the territory of the 51st Arsenal near Moscow. So lots of different angles, lots of locals filming that and whacking up on social media straight away. They don't fear there being any recrimination against them for so doing. Now, a bit of detail possibly. Explosions, says War Translated, hit the 51st GRAU arsenal in Russia's Vladimir region, destroying, and I guess this is quite hopeful because I don't know how you know how much has been already destroyed. But he says destroying 100,000 tons of ammunition. That, I presume that means that's what's there. But of course, there's no knowing what has been destroyed and whether it's even remotely, say, half of it, let alone 100% of it. But anyway, a claim here, 1,000 tons of ammunition, glide bombs, artillery shells, rockets for multiple launch rocket systems, and air defense components were lost. The depot is one of the largest in Russia. It's burning nicely, he says. Whatever is destroyed here, you're going to think it's probably a fairly sizable amount of stuff, and I'm fairly sure that those fires won't be going out anytime soon. Max 24 says it's stored artillery shells, ATGM, so anti-tank guided missiles. Those would be things that the equivalent that the Ukrainians use would be javelins and NLAWs. The Russians will be using, I don't know, Coronet and similar. SAMs, surface-to-air missiles for the S-300 VSAM, and surface-to-air missiles for the OSA SAM, missiles for multiple launch rocket systems, and FABs, so FABs, the guided glide bombs. Capacity for that arsenal is supposedly 264,000 tons. So actually what War Translated was saying is that actually 100,000 tons of ammunition taken out, that's less than half of what's there. But again, that surely can only be at best a massive guess at what might have been destroyed. So pinch of salt and all that. Be interesting to see if there are further secondary explosions. What you'd want to see is all of these different sort of areas here on this satellite image to be blowing up. That one explosion might just be like one of these, or maybe a couple of these going off. What you want are just repeated explosions that would indicate that more and more of these storage areas are detonating. But we'll have to wait and see. Let's see if anything else is coming out. War Translated adds moment of an explosion of the occupied arsenal, with excellent comments as always. That's from the Russians there, going, whoa, oh my goodness, or holy S, yeah, that's scary, oh wow. And then in one of these they talk about a huge wave as well. That'd be a wave of a shock wave travelling. Big trouble for Russia at the 51st GRAU arsenal near Kirzhach. Ambulances are rushing in. The local emergency services telling people seriously stay out of the area. Regional governor says journalists and bloggers might get fined just for talking about it. A bit late now. I mean, there's an awful lot of footage, as you can tell, already circulating on Tinternet. And there, so this is what you want to see. So if you're pro-Ukrainian, of course, what you see here, many people have their windows blown out and explosions are not stopping. That's what you want to see. There's an ongoing sound of rockets whistling in all directions. Locals report about the attack on the 51st GRAU arsenal. This is after subsequent explosions that we've already seen. So there's another massive ball of fire, which means, I'm assuming that another one of these is blowing up. And you want to just keep seeing those explosions to make sure that as much equipment there is destroyed, as many munitions there are destroyed as physically possible. But this is what everyone's kind of talking about on the socials at the moment. Lots and lots of imagery coming out of the 51st GRAU. So good news for Ukraine. We may find out eventually whether that was a strike from the Ukrainians or sabotage or really was just an accident. But hopefully that was a strike. Well, I suppose really what you want is that to be a mistake by the Russians, and then they can't blame the Ukrainians and do some kind of retribution. So really, although it's like great to think, yeah, we want that to be the Ukrainians hitting, actually it's better for the Ukrainians if it is an accident, if they can pass it off as an accident, and then they can't expect retribution. But I guess we'll see. Okay, that's enough from me. Good news there. Hopefully we'll put a pro-Ukrainian smile on your face to see that kind of destruction of Russian weapons of war that would otherwise be aimed at civilians and soldiers in Ukraine. So it's really good to see that go up in smoke, and let's hope that there are many more explosions there as time goes on. Oh dear, look here, St. Petersburg, a big fire going on there in St. Petersburg. Don't know what that's all about, just looks somewhere in the middle of nowhere, some cargo there, but just refreshing the thread, and that was at the top of it. So even more fire for the Russians to contend with. Okay, that's enough from me. Take care. Speak to you soon.